Oh, 1600 hours, 8 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. The 18th of April, 2020. Saw a great post yesterday on the Twitters that said 30 days, this house is an effing prison. I don't blame them, it is. So let's see what's happening. It's happening. At long last, John Solomon says indictments may be coming this week. Obama's Spygate scandal. All right. So that's a good thing. This one here, coronavirus, America's epicenter, confirmed. Like everywhere else, the vast majority of New York State coronavirus victims are over the age of 70. Of course, they're using the same picture as the picture from Italy, which is, just untrue. Apparently, a 16-year-old girl in Wisconsin threatened with arrest over coronavirus Instagram posts, now suing the sheriff. All right, that's good. This one here is, again, Gateway. This is the Gateway Pundit, by the way. 80% of restaurants say they may not reopen. 11 million jobs on the line, while Pelosi sits at home with her chocolates and refuses to approve more loan money. Well, that's because this woman is the devil. She is definitely involved in some seriously dirty stuff. And I wonder if they're understanding that that's all coming down. And if she messes with her teeth anymore, she ain't gonna have a jaw left. I mean, she must be wearing it away. This one here, this was from 11:07 on the 18th, which is today, 11:07 a.m. The WHO lied. IHME lied. Fauci bought the lies. Latest international study shows COVID-19 mortality rate at 0.2%, not 3.4. Why was this the Gateway Pundit? Why was the Gateway Pundit the only one to catch this? That's a good question. I wonder why. We got another one here. Steve Bannon and the War Room pandemic. Pandemic descent into hell, 10 a.m. till noon, live stream video. I don't want to see that. I don't like that guy. He's weird. It says lockdown, New York State now has 17,000 coronavirus deaths, or 10 times the number of deaths as Sweden, and they left their economy open. I don't know what that means. And this one here, newly released FISA documents of deep state spying on George Papadopoulos curiously have Seth Rich's name redacted from transcripts. Seth Rich, if you remember, is the gentleman who was murdered on the streets of Washington, D.C., which is really disgusting because apparently his parents were bought off, and that's not fair. Their son was murdered by DNC activists, aka MS-13, which we all know the former administration was loving because they were trafficking the children that they were doing their stuff with. So there's some stories from the Gateway Pundit today. China media now claims coronavirus originated from American athletes who visited Wuhan on October 19. Are you fucking kidding me? That's absurd. And this one here is an exclusive at 7:30 a.m. today. Exclusive after coronavirus spread in Hubei province, China. Chinese officials applied remdesivir. Officials applied for remdesivir patent. They knew it would treat coronavirus, we now have their application. So, let me put that in layman's terms for all the fucking retards out there, especially the folks that love to get fucking high and are clueless. That goes for you, de Blasio, and certain former friends of mine, that it's just weed, man. You folks are stupid. You are deadening your brain cells, and that's awesome, because that means there's going to be less resistance against us, and that's great. Apparently, this one here, I want to tell you first that you folks who are baking your brains and making yourself dumber, you will end up suffering for it, because you will be the ones that lose your rights. Do you think these governors and these cities legalized weed to make your life better? No, they did it because they know they could dumb you down and keep you controlled. So you want to blame people for trying to stop you from smoking weed and trying to better yourselves? You can do that all you'd like. But the reality is, and this is the fucking reality, the dumber you are, the easier you are to control. That's the reality. This one's from Racine County, Wisconsin. This is from a sheriff. Racine County Sheriff. He said, "I took an oath to uphold the Constitution, and I will not enforce Wisconsin's authoritarian stay-at-home order. I will applaud that sheriff. God bless him. God bless his department." And then Alabama and Texas announced plans to reopen businesses in their states, some immediately. So what we are at here is an incredible great awakening, ladies and gentlemen. This county and these two states are doing the right thing. Meanwhile, in your lovely, beautiful West Coast, by the way, I've done research on California. California was a beautiful place until it got taken over by scumbags like Maxine Waters and Nancy Pelosi and Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom. And these anti-American losers. SoCal Beach dumps 37 tons of sand in skate park to stop illegal skateboarding after 28 coronavirus deaths in Orange County. So what you've done is you've taken away the use of skate parks, which I'm sure Mr. Poole is going to be very upset about. And I'm not a big skater, but I think that's effed up because I think skaters are hot. So that's all right. And then we've got this other one here, saved by hydroxychloroquine. Watch Michigan Democrat lawmaker credits President Trump and hydroxychloroquine for saving her life from COVID-19. This was April 17th. We haven't seen much of this covered in the mainstream media, or should I say lamestream media, because, well, they're on the payroll of other companies and other countries. And then this one here, it's a vial of apparently some blood, and it's marked positive. What? Coronavirus began months earlier and not in Wuhan, bombshell UK report claims. So let's look at this one. Same headline. Chinese officials have long claimed the first case of COVID-19, or the China virus, in the words of President Trump, diagnosed in Wuhan on December 1st, blaming nearby wet market that sells exotic animals as the cause. Let me explain something to the folks in these countries. Don't eat fucking bats. Don't eat monkeys. Don't eat bats. These are not animals to consume. End of story. And if you're doing that and you're claiming you're smarter than folks in the West, you're delusional. Okay, so now that we've got that out of the way, not so, says a bombshell report by scientists in the University of Cambridge in Britain. By the way, UK, and I hate to say this because Paul Joseph Watson is a great person, your country's lost, dude. So I'm not going to believe anything you have to say, but I'm going to read this anyway. While coronavirus was previously believed to have originated in a wet market in Wuhan at the end of last year, new research suggests it actually may have came from further south. It began spreading among humans as early as September 2019, according to The Sun, reported on Friday. The team of researchers published its report in the journal Proceedings of National Academy of Science, which lays out a network of infections that calls into question reports of the communist nation. Okay, so the virus may have mutated into a final human efficient form months ago, but stayed inside a bat until, or other animal, or even human for several months without infecting other individuals, University of Cambridge geneticist Peter Foster said on Thursday. Okay, so what you're telling me is that back in September, this may have started. And then in November, if anybody had their brains and their heads out of their assholes in the United States, by the way, the folks that have had their heads up their asses like that, can you please draw up a schematic on how you've done that? Because if I can stuff my own head in my asshole, could you imagine what I could... Never mind. I wouldn't need Grindr, that's for sure. So apparently, that back in November, I saw a report by a gentleman on YouTube, and I can't seem to find the video anymore. Gee, I don't know why, YouTube. That back in November, like November 1st or 2nd, the CDC put out requests for people that could handle pandemics in major cities, such as cities in California, Washington State, Oregon, New York, New Jersey. Why is that? Why would they have put out a request for employees that could handle pandemics in November when we didn't have our first case here until, like, what, March? Okay. So, anybody who can't see the reality of this, you need to stop doing drugs. You need to stop smoking weed. You need to stop drinking. And you need to start learning how to actually be part of society. The conversations I had yesterday with two people who are local to me make me want to vomit. I had one guy ask me, how does this stuff happen? How does this stuff happen? You mean how do people get away with what they've gotten away with for decades? Because there's no oversight. And everyone thinks that everything's just, it's hunky-dory. It's not hunky-dory. When you are as mentally challenged as folks are in this country, and it's sad, it's very sad, but it is true. When you have folks baking themselves into oblivion, trying to hide from themselves, you folks know who you are. You're hiding the reality of who you are behind a drug. When you finally stop doing that drug and it all hits you at once, you're either going to end yourselves or you're going to come to reality. Now, I don't know what that reality might be, but I will tell you this. I see what it is already. And speaking of that reality, the reality is nothing is for free in this life. In order to have internet in your house, you have to pay the bill. In order to have electricity in your home, you have to pay the bill. Those looking for free rides, that free ride ends eventually. And when it does, You're going to be very upset about that. Not my problem. And for those who choose a chemical drug over human contact and over human relationships, you are not worth saving. You are worth praying for, but you're not worth saving. So there's that report from the UK. So that one's cool. If that's the case, unbelievable. And then we have, and this one, I have to touch on Tim Pool's report yesterday. This is from Thursday. CNN on Anderson Cooper had Joe Biden on. Now, I don't like Joe Biden. I've never liked him. He was a piss poor senator. He's the guy that started the whole gun-free school zone, and then right after that, we started having a ton of school shootings because you've now advertised that, hey, this is a gun-free school zone. Okay, I don't like Joe Biden, but he is obviously sundowning, and Tim Pool was pissed over this the other day, and I agree with him 100%. Listen, I don't agree all the time with certain people. I never really liked Tim Pool until I saw him on Joe Rogan's podcast when he was going against Jack Dorsey and that crazy broad. But the fact is that the folks who are putting Joe Biden out there in public, you folks are guilty of elder abuse. The man is sundowning, and you're allowing yourselves to be part of this, and I'm not proud of it, and I'm not happy about it. Granted, Joe Biden might have groped a ton of women and might have been involved in some things that I'm not happy about, but there is no need to put this man out in public. He needs to be at home, resting, taken care of by his loved ones, and let him live out his days and sundown in his own home. I'm going to leave it at that. There's some great other stories here. This one here, just to leave you with, this is from yesterday at 2:07 p.m. Pelosi sits at home eating chocolates and smearing the president as middle-class Americans lose their jobs and wait for her to approve small business loans. This woman is the devil. She has sold out her country, has sold her soul, and anybody who reelects her, you need to check yourselves. So, but on a better note, freedom. Jacksonville, Florida reopens beaches. They opened them today. I heard they were packed within like hours, and that is awesome. Now let's see how well we can keep this thing under control. Until tomorrow, or later tonight, depending on how I feel. Those are the stories from the Gateway Pundit. I didn't look at the New York Times today because, well, that's birdcage liner. God bless and good evening, and I hope you have a great weekend. Just keep praying for the country and all the victims of this awful pandemic. And as much as I know you don't want to, y'all need to pray for these leaders, or so-called leaders, including Pelosi and Schumer. They need God in their life. And may we, instead of worried about shutting down the government for coronavirus, why don't we shut it down for the 73,000 Americans that died from drug overdoses last year? And we'll go from there. God bless, ladies and gentlemen. Keep your shoulders back, your head held high, the wind at your back and the sun on your face. Take care.